Hands Corner, where you ask the questions. We had some live right here on Facebook. Had another great messenger question submitted last week. I'll paraphrase it here, but basically, a gentleman is saying that, Mike, I hardly ever get time to have one-on-one meetings with my office staff, my crew leaders, and some of my managers. And when I do have these meetings, I'm not really sure what to talk about. And they seem to, if I'm paraphrasing here, be all over the place with no organization. And if I'm reading between the lines here, probably don't have a lot of value. And the managers, the crew leaders, and the office staff really don't enjoy them. And there's really no need to have these unless they're organized. So this is something actually we've been working with and going to be instituting in the Simple Growth Scale group, where we have one-to-one coaching with business owners under $1 million, and our over $1 million basically consulting group is our masterminds group. But I'm going to open up the screen here. So if somebody owns a service business, this is pretty much what we did in my service business as well. And feel free to take a look at it and institute this in your own business here. So let me flip the screen over here and pop this open. So this is something, if you're in the Scale group with Simple Growth, with the one-on-one consulting 2.5 hours with our 7-figure business experts, you're going to be seeing here shortly. But this is something we used in my business here. And this is what we'd be looking at on a weekly basis. So on the far left here, we're going to be walking through, and this is a 10 to 15 minute exercise with some things off to the right that need to be prepared before the meeting. Top of mind, things we should talk about. So you're actually engaging this, and the employee, not the manager, is filling this out to have ownership. Prior to since we last met, what have you been working on? Prior to until we meet again, top things you're going to be focusing on from now until the next time we meet. Positive things that went well this week, recent wins and positive news. We're going to frame it with positivity and see what's going on. Next thing is our challenges, roadblocks, or concerns that we can work out. And last thing is feedback, recognition, and suggestions for improvement. So whether it's a crew leader for a landscape maintenance company, a cleaning tech with a multi-person crew, a manager, or the office, this all basically on the left-hand side fits in perfectly. Now, what we're looking at here on the far right is probably going to be more for a manager or business owner, but this is the things that we should be doing on a weekly basis. The things on the left here, even as the business owner, I have a personal coach that I meet with every Friday for an hour. Not cheap, but we have these types of accountabilities. So these are some of the things that I actually do in my current business as well as the lawn care business. So on the left here, or in the middle, we're looking at employment recruitment in virtual bench. If you ever heard me talk about stacking the virtual bench, we should always be interviewing at least twice a week, traditionally Monday, Wednesday, and sometimes Friday. We're stacking the virtual bench. So when we need an employee and we don't have basically a virtual bench set, almost like a farm team for a sports club, it's too late. So we need to have those people already readily available and screened before we go out and hire. So what I'm going to recommend is go out and interview 2 to 3 times a week. And we should be tracking this for a cadence to see where these interview people coming from or applicants are coming from. So this Thursday for the Scale group, we've got a whole hour about going out and doing paid advertisements for Indeed and a recruiting process to go out and get employees when you need them, but also to stack that virtual bench. So we're going to put the date of the week in here, how many interviews were booked, how many showed, how many were hired, and then how many were qualified to go on that virtual bench. So what we're doing is creating a cadence of accountability throughout each week, tracking your employment process. I'll tell you, folks, including myself in the early days, we did not do this. And man, when we stopped doing this, we got in trouble. So we really need to go out right now, in my opinion, several times a week and go out and recruit, even if we don't need anybody, because you're going to find these applicants that you may be able to use. So the gentleman who ran my company, I found him about 1.5 years, 2 years earlier than I needed him, but it was a perfect applicant. So we moved some money around and made it happen. But like I said, when you're going out to find that person when you need them, right in that time, in that immediacy, you're not going to find them. So we need to go out and recruit beforehand. So I'm suggesting that our weekly meeting summary from the following week or the previous week, we go in, interviews booked, interviews showed, hired, added to the virtual bench. And then the final thing, based on the position, this would be great for crew leaders as well, in the field and managers, is the week of the total budgeted hours for either that crew that they're in charge of or the whole entire division or company, if they're managing that whole entire company, depending on the size of it. But we want to know the total budgeted hours, total man hours worked, and over and under man hours. Now, I would also suggest here in this space below, we have something about quality, because production that is not aligned with quality work is not going to be a benefit. So I would go in and probably put some kind of internal ranking like we did. We did internal QC tests. And then we also had a portion of it based on the clients calling in compliments or complaints. So those are the things I'd suggest you be looking at. But a quick summary here, top of mind, things we should talk about here. Priorities since we last met. What have we been working on? Priorities until we meet again. Top things you're focusing on from now until the next time we meet. Things that went well this week, recent wins and positive news. And then we're looking at our challenges, roadblocks, concerns, and ways we can work them out. And then feedback, recognition, and things for improvement. So these are the things that I would suggest on your weekly meetings with crew leaders, managers, and office personnel. A version of this is going to be in, and then whoever's responsible for your recruiting right here, weekly, how many interviews were booked, how many showed up, how many hired, how many stuck filtered to the virtual bench that were qualified, and then production-wise, budget, total hours worked, over and under budget, and I would have a quality thing in here. And the final thing that I'd be looking at off to right here that is not on here yet is I'd be also looking at total client count, total canceled clients, new clients, and net new. And those are going to be the metrics across a service business I'm going to recommend you look at on a summarized weekly basis. So if you're wondering how to go out and tackle weekly one-on-one meetings, this is what we do every week at Simple Growth. Every Tuesday, the second half of the day, I'm doing one-on-one meetings, creates clarity, and we can go in and better support the team members and in turn, better support our customers. So comments, questions, drop below. Callahan's Corner. You ask the questions, we answer them live right here on Facebook.